Welcome back, guys. I bet you didn't expect me to say this fast. So, here's the deal, guys. I feel like I want to talk about inflation. And before we dive deep into, what inflation is and how it affects all us and how and what we can do to protect ourselves to be ahead of inflation. like I feel like telling a story before. So I think most of us can relate. Like, if you talk with old people, if you talk with our elder people, they used to say, like, how they manage to work in very less money and yet they have generated great amount of wealth back then. And in today's world, like, most of us people are struggling to make that happen, and you feel like, dude, it's not happening. Like, I make money, I save, but it's not happening. And sometimes, like, I feel like we all get frustrated, not getting to live up to, with our full potential, and trying to figure out this thing. And I think it is safe to say that it's always running in our background head, like, we need to get this done, and it's never happening. So I listen to podcast most of the economics. So, like, to if we define inflation, like, a lot of people say inflation is the rise in price of commodity over a period of time. Most of the people argue that inflation is healthy, like, like 2%, 3% inflation is needed to keep the economy running. That inflation will increase the price of our asset, and it is good thing. But here's the thing, guys. Some of the economists say that inflation is nothing but increase in the supply of monetary system. What I mean to say by that is, like, inflation is much more, is less about expansion in the circulation of money. That is what inflation is. Like, once you start expanding the circulation of money, what happens is, like, you having $100 note, or you having $100 bill. Now there is more supply of money in the economy. So, like, if there is some more supply in the economy, your 100 rupees, $100 will not buy the same thing out there in market, because there is another 100 rupees that was created out of thin air. And only after 2019, after the pandemic, over 40% of US dollar has been increased in the name of quantitative easing. Like, the Federal Reserve Bank has purchased or issued bonds of around $110 billion every month, and they have printed over trillions of dollars in the name of quantitative easing. And we feel like they are just there out printing the money. So that leads to inflation in the market. And when there is an inflation in the market, the thing is, what you have or how much you own is never gonna be enough, because almost everything that you and me we see in today's market is higher than it used to be. And, like, even though you are willing to pay more money for the commodity, sometimes you don't even get that. So how does inflation affect us? Like, like, where does the money go? Like, if you look at the market, you go and then the price is up, you ask the vendor, the price is up, and he's like, yeah, like, there is a crisis in supply chain, there is a crisis in labor, we have to be paying more money to get the same product. But okay, fine. So if you go to the labor, the labor works, maybe he got a raise of 10%, 20%, but then again, he's buying the product. He's also, at the end of the day, they also have to buy a product. So where is the money of inflation going, guys? Like, I don't know, man. Like, like, I'm here to talk about that. I don't know. So I'm looking for an answer myself. And if you look at, like, if you look at the world economy, over all of our money that is tied up is with US dollar. So US dollar is father of all currency, and rest of the currency in the world operates in the same fundamental. And our dollar is a fiat currency. Fiat by definition means let it be done. It's a Latin word, and it usually given a reference like this is to be said by the by the kings, like like there is no money, so print more money, let it be done. So this is the whole concept of fiat currency. And so when there is expansion of monetary supply every year in the name of quantitative easing, in the name of fighting climate crisis, so the money that you and I hold by working our ass off is not going to sustain us, because everything is hiking up, the price is getting high, is jacked up. And like most of us feel like like how do we protect our wealth, like how do we protect whatever we have, where do we invest? So it is pretty tricky at the moment, the definition of inflation, like eh, and everything. So I think guys, like it's very important to understand about it. And like average people like you and me, like someone who wants to understand it, and someone who wants to protect themselves, I think it's time that we educate ourselves in terms of inflation and how the monetary system actually works. And it is the world today is in a very very strange place. Like what we have gone through, the amount of money being pumped into the economy, and the way 2021 is also being known as the great resignation. Like the jobs, the people are quitting their jobs, most of the people are living in allowances given by the government in the name of pandemic and everything. And also like today, if you look at stock markets, like some of the stocks are all-time high, and most of the money and most of the finance are being calculated in terms of the soaring stock price. But if you look at CPI, consumer price index, the inflation is skyrocketing. And I feel like like we all should know the way, and we all should find the answer for how we can protect our wealth, how we can beat the inflation. Say like say the inflation is around, in most of the developing countries and in most of the other nations, the inflation must be around 8% or 10%. Like for the first time in over 40 years, I think USA has inflation of what, 7%. That has never happened in around 40 years time period, and for the first time that happened. And in most of the developing country, I bet it is bigger than that. So when people are saving money in the fixed deposit account and say they are getting 8% and the inflation is around 10%, people are actually losing 2% of their money just by saving into the bank account. And it is pretty sad to see some of the people still do that. But this is the thing, guys, like when you have no exposure to protect your money, or when you have no exposure to investment, ETFs or investment, where that you can beat the inflation and generate more money, like it's completely understandable. Like not everybody wants to take a risk. So like I think in this context, it is very important to leverage the world economy, leverage international market, not just the local market, but to leverage the international market. So what I mean by international market is, guys, like we should all try and buy the commodities the that even international market is sorting after. Like if you buy say like precious metal, like most of the countries it is allowed to buy a precious metal, although you are not allowed to, although you don't have an exposure to buy some of the companies that you and me we want to buy. But so we start from buying things that it is used throughout the world. And I think like it is time people start following and listening to podcast and looking for answer by themselves. Because until and unless like you feel like something is wrong and you feel like, what's happening, and you want to look for answer, it is bit difficult to try and make people understand. Like I myself am looking for answer for a long period of time, and this blows my mind. Like when you listen or when you learn more about, when you go into the rabbit hole of economics, and in terms economics and monetary supply, how like the banks, like how banks are actually either contracting or expanding the supply of money, and that is how almost every economy runs. So like in today's world, like very few countries or very few places actually promote the concept of free economy. Otherwise, like like if a company gets bankrupt, or if company loses money because of pandemic or something, and if a government is like giving them money to float, it is kind of difficult for every individual to comprehend that. Like you could be making a worst investment, and yet, like big companies who employ thousands of employees are given money in the name of bailout. So like these companies just get money because the government feels like it is too big for the company to fail, and they are just given a bailout. So the company can still function, and they can run, and like the things can go back in business. But like there is this deeper question and big question to be asked. Yeah, so guys, like let me know what are your thoughts on inflation. Let me know how what you understand about it, and let me know if you get some value, or if you have any suggestion regarding this kind of topics. So anyway, drop your thoughts below, guys, and I feel like I feel like there is much more to discuss, and I feel like I want to come back with more of the data, and I feel like I want to talk about what few other economists are saying. So anyway, guys, like I hope you support me. I hope you like the video. If you like, guys, if you think like you got some value, give it a like button, comment below, and if you have not subscribed already, maybe consider subscribing. And I'll see you next time, guys. Thank you. Have a good day, guys.